Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to what might be one of the most important conversations we'll have together. I want to speak directly to those of you who are somewhere between your late 20s and early 30s, and to anyone who has walked through this profound cosmic initiation and wants to understand what happened to them during those transformative years. If you've been feeling like your entire life is being deconstructed and rebuilt from the ground up, if you've been questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself, your relationships, your career, and your purpose, you are not falling apart. You are not behind in life. You are not broken. You are going through one of the most sacred passages in human development, and I want to help you navigate it with grace, wisdom, and deep compassion for yourself. What I'm talking about is your Saturn return, and it's happening to you for a very specific reason. This cosmic event occurs approximately every 29.5 years when the planet Saturn completes its full orbit around the Sun and returns to the exact same place it was when you were born. Most of us experience our first Saturn return between ages 27 and 30, and it typically lasts about 2.5 to 3 years. Here's what you need to understand about Saturn in astrology. Saturn is often called the great teacher, the cosmic disciplinarian, the planet that shows us where we need to grow up and take responsibility for our lives. But I want to offer you a different perspective. Saturn is actually the planet of authentic adulthood. It's not trying to punish you. It's trying to free you from anything that isn't genuinely yours. During your Saturn return, this planet essentially asks you one fundamental question. Who are you when you strip away everything you think you should be, everything your family expected you to be, everything society told you to be? Who are you at your core, and what are you here to contribute to this world? This process often feels like everything is falling apart because, in many ways, it is. But what's falling apart are the structures, relationships, career paths, and life choices that were never truly aligned with your authentic self to begin with. Saturn is helping you shed what doesn't belong so you can finally step into what does. Let me share how this energy typically shows up in your body and your daily experience, because I want you to recognize that what you're feeling is completely normal for this phase of life. You might notice a deep restlessness, like you're outgrowing your current life but don't yet know what comes next. There can be this sense of time urgency. Suddenly you're acutely aware of how you're spending your precious years and whether it feels meaningful. Many people experience what I call identity vertigo during their Saturn return. You might wake up one day and feel like you don't recognize your own life. The job that felt exciting at 23 might now feel soul-crushing. The relationship that worked in your early 20s might feel restrictive or misaligned. The dreams you had as a teenager might feel like they belong to someone else entirely. Physically, you might notice your tolerance for certain foods, environments, or lifestyle choices changing dramatically. Your body is literally maturing and demanding higher quality everything. Better nutrition, more rest, healthier boundaries. Some people experience significant health shifts during Saturn return, often as a wake-up call to start taking better care of themselves. There's often a profound loneliness that accompanies Saturn return, even if you're surrounded by people. This is because you're being called to develop a relationship with your authentic self. And that's inner work that no one else can do for you. You might find yourself pulling back from social situations that feel superficial or draining. Now let's talk about both the challenging and the beautiful aspects of this transit, because Saturn return contains profound gifts, even though it often doesn't feel that way while you're in it. The shadow side can include feeling like you're failing at life, especially when you compare yourself to others. You might experience anxiety about making the wrong choices, fear that you've wasted your 20s, or panic about not having everything figured out by 30. There can be a harsh inner critic that emerges, telling you should be further along or more successful by now. But here's the gift side that I want you to focus on. Saturn return is actually liberation in disguise. It's freeing you from living according to other people's definitions of success. It's helping you develop what I call authentic authority, the ability to make decisions based on your own values rather than external pressure. It's teaching you to build a life that can sustain you, not just materially, but spiritually and emotionally as well. This transit often brings unexpected clarity about what you actually want, as opposed to what you think you should want. It develops your capacity for commitment, not the kind of commitment that comes from obligation, but the kind that comes from genuine alignment with your values and purpose. Many people find their life's work during or shortly after their Saturn return. Others discover they have the courage to leave situations that have been draining their life force for years. Some learn to set boundaries they never knew they needed. Almost everyone emerges with a stronger sense of personal authority and self-respect. Now let me give you some very practical ways to work with Saturn return energy rather than feeling overwhelmed by it. First, practice what I call gentle honesty with yourself about what's actually working in your life and what isn't. Make lists if that helps. Notice where you feel energized versus depleted. This isn't about making dramatic changes overnight, but about beginning to acknowledge the truth of your experience without judgment. Second, give yourself permission to not have it all figured out. Saturn return is not about having all the answers. It's about learning to ask better questions. Instead of, what should I do with my life? Try asking, what brings me alive? Or what problems do I feel called to help solve? Third, invest in building what I call inner infrastructure. This means developing daily practices that help you stay connected to yourself. Meditation, journaling, time in nature, creative expression, or whatever helps you feel centered and authentic. Saturn rewards consistent effort over dramatic gestures. Fourth, pay attention to your relationship with authority, both external and internal. Saturn return often brings up issues with bosses, parents, or other authority figures, but it's really asking you to develop your own inner authority. Practice making decisions from your own wisdom rather than seeking everyone else's approval. Fifth, begin to take full responsibility for your choices without falling into self-blame. This is a delicate balance, acknowledging that you have the power to change your life while being compassionate about the journey that brought you to where you are now. Sixth, start building sustainable systems in your life. This might mean creating better financial habits, establishing healthier routines, or learning skills that will serve you long term. Saturn rewards practical effort and step-by-step progress. Seventh, practice saying no to commitments that don't align with your emerging sense of purpose. Your time and energy become precious resources during Saturn return, and learning to protect them is essential for building an authentic life. Eighth, connect with others who are also questioning the conventional path. You don't have to go through this alone, and sharing your experience with people who understand can be incredibly validating and supportive. I want you to understand that Saturn return timing is different for everyone, and there's no right way to experience it. Some people have dramatic external changes, career shifts, relationship endings, geographic moves. Others experience primarily internal transformation, while their external life stays relatively stable. Both paths are valid. What's most important is that you stay connected to your inner guidance throughout this process. Your Saturn return is unique to you, and what emerges from it should reflect your authentic self rather than anyone else's idea of what your life should look like. Many people worry they're behind if they're changing directions in their late 20s or early 30s, but I want you to know that this is actually perfect timing. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be to build a life that's truly yours rather than one that simply looks good from the outside. The gifts that emerge from Saturn return often become the foundation for everything meaningful you create in the decades that follow. The self-knowledge you gain, the boundaries you learn to set, the authentic relationships you build, the work you discover that genuinely matters to you, these are treasures that will serve you for the rest of your life. Remember that this is a temporary passage, even though it might feel endless while you're in it. Most people emerge from their Saturn return with a much clearer sense of who they are and what they want to create in the world. The confusion and upheaval are not permanent states. They're part of the transformation process. As you move through this sacred initiation, be patient with yourself. Trust that the dismantling is necessary for the rebuilding. Trust that your life doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful and successful. Trust that the courage to live authentically is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and the world. Your Saturn return is calling you home to yourself. It's asking you to build a life that reflects your true values, your genuine passions, and your unique contribution to the world. This is not selfish. This is necessary. The world needs what you came here to offer, but only you can discover what that is and find the courage to share it. May you navigate this passage with wisdom and grace. May you trust the process, even when it feels chaotic. And may you emerge with deep knowledge of who you are and absolute faith in your ability to create a life that honours your authentic self. This content is provided for spiritual and educational purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical, psychological, legal, or financial advice. Please consult qualified professionals for matters concerning your health, relationships, and practical life decisions.